the co-founder of the popular app HQ Trivia, Mr Kroll, has been found dead in his apartment in New York at the age of 34. The CEO, who also co-founded the video platform Vine, was found by police after his girlfriend reportedly asked them to check on him. An HQ spokesperson confirmed the death with deep sadness. HQ Trivia, a live trivia game on mobiles, became hugely popular following its appeal this year. Officers of the New York Police Department went to Mr. Kroll, his flat in Manhattan, to carry out a welfare check, and found his body, along with drugs paraphernalia nearby. TMZ reported in the initial media coverage of his death. The HQ statement read, "We learned today of the passing of our friend and founder, Mr Kroll, and it is with deep sadness that we say goodbye. Our thoughts go out to his family, friends, and loved ones during this incredibly difficult time." The company confirmed Mr. Kroll, his age after police had initially said 35. Mr. Kroll's father, Alan, told the New York Times, "He had so much talent and had accomplished so much at such a young age. It truly is a waste." Mr. Kroll co-founded HQ Trivia with Russ Yusupov. Mr. Yusupov paid tribute on Twitter. "So sad to hear about the passing of my friend and co-founder Mr. Kroll. My thoughts prayers go out to his loved ones. I will forever remember him for his kind soul and big heart. He made the world and internet a better place. Rest in peace, brother." End of Twitter post by @RussHQ Trivia was launched in the US last year, and Mr. Kroll was named CEO this September. The free app live streams quiz shows, with a pot of money, often thousands of dollars, available to split between winners. The quiz show was guest hosted by some big names, from Jimmy Kimmel to Bert from Sesame Street. Its popularity faded this year, dropping out of the App Store its list of top 100 apps. Mr. Kroll was also a co-founder of Vine, a 6-second video streaming service that was bought out by Twitter in
2012 for $30 M24 米.
Vine announced in December 2016 that Twitter was discontinuing the mobile app. A buyer who illegally demolished a famed house in San Francisco has been ordered to rebuild an exact replica and install a plaque outside explaining what happened. Largent House in the city's Twin Peaks neighborhood was built in 1936 by eminent modernist designer Richard Neutrath. Its owner, Ross Johnston, bought the property last year for $1.3 million and had permission to renovate it. That did not include knocking it down. Cheryl Travers, a neighbor, told local TV station Pix5 that she filed a complaint after coming home to find the house demolished. "I went to New York for about a week and a half and came back. The house was gone. Totally gone," she said. Mr. Johnston told the San Francisco Planning Commission he had bought the property as a family home that would enable my family of 6 to move back to San Francisco, and had been stuck in limbo for over a year. His lawyer also argued that the historic house had already been altered by former owners. Nonetheless, the commission ruled last week that a replica must be built, and not the larger home the owner had planned in its place. If the property is sold, the new buyer will also be obliged to honor the ruling. Ms. Travers called the decision a victory for the neighbors and the little people. Before it was filed, Largent House was a two-story white building with an indoor swimming pool, and one of just 5 homes newly designed in San Francisco. SF Curb profiled it in 2010, writing, "We know nothing about Mr. Mrs.
MS.
Largent, but this was radical stuff in the middle of the Great Depression." Planning Commissioner Dennis Richards said he hoped the story would prove a cautionary tale. If a developer has even a thought of demolishing a house illegally. I'd like them to go up to 49 Hopkins and take a look at the plaque, because this is what is going to happen in the future, he said. A Brazilian faith healer accused of sexually abusing more than 300 women has handed himself into police. Local media report. João Teixeira de Faria, known as Son of God, was declared a fugitive on Saturday after missing a deadline to surrender to the authorities. The cascade of claims against him began earlier in December, when a dozen women said the self-styled spiritual healer had abused them at his clinic. Mr. Faria denies the allegations. The medium is based in the central town of Abadiânia, west of the capital Brasilia, but has followers worldwide. Brazil's own global newspaper reports that the medium withdrew
35
million real
8美元9米7米
from several bank accounts on Wednesday, convincing authorities that he could be planning to flee Brazil or hide the money in case of future compensation claims. Authorities responded with an arrest warrant on Friday. On Sunday, mobile phone footage broadcast on Brazil's global TV showed Mr. Faria looking weary, getting out of a car and surrendering to police on a dirt road in Abadiânia. He was transported to police headquarters in Goiânia, the capital of Goiás state. The medium can be heard on video saying that when he heard the abuse allegations, I surrendered to divine justice, and, as promised, I now place myself in the hands of earthly justice. His lawyer, Alberto Doran, said he would file an appeal on Monday. He said he hoped Mr. Faria might be held under house arrest instead of in prison. Last week, a Dutch photographer, Zahira Lemek Moz, told Global TV that Mr. Faria had manipulated her into performing sex acts and then raped her. 9 Brazilian women, who remained anonymous, also told the channel that the medium abused them on the premise of transferring his cleansing energy. A global newspaper later said it had spoken to 2 more women with similar allegations. The
76YEAROLD's
representative said he vehemently rejects allegations of any improper practice during his treatments. Mr. Faria, who is not a medical doctor, has previously been fined and jailed for operating without a license. As TV host Oprah Winfrey traveled to Brazil in 2013 to meet him and witnessed him performing so-called psychic surgery at his clinic. According to ABC News, Mr. Faria claims that the spirits of more than 30 doctors and other entities can enter his body, and that they perform the healings. A huge explosion and fire has hit a restaurant in the northern Japanese city of Sapporo. Japanese police say 42 people were injured in the explosion, with one of them in a serious condition. The cause of the explosion in the Todohira district is not yet known. Some reports suggested a gas blast. Images on social media initially showed flames rising from the area, with debris all around, and later firefighters tackling collapsed buildings. Police sealed off the area amid fears of more explosions. More than 20 fire engines were reportedly deployed.
停岸3条8丁目爆发火灾，火势末期，消防车救急车多数。
Click Twitter COMIRN link fit fan of Twitter post by @shot a camera. The emergency services were first alerted to the explosion at about
20点30分
on Sunday.
11点30分
GMT. Japanese broadcaster NHK said the area affected had both residential and dining establishments and was about 3 km southeast of the city center. The Japan Times quoted one eyewitness as saying the explosion sounded like thunder. Another eyewitness told NHK that the blast had broken the windows of the restaurant he was working in, and that there were many injured people. Officials warned that the number of injured could rise. President Donald Trump has tweeted that he plans to review the case of U.S. soldier Matthew Goldstein, charged with murdering an Afghan civilian in 2010. The Army Green Beret Major allegedly shot someone he described as a suspected Taliban bombmaker during his deployment. He was charged with murder last week, allegations he denies. But President Trump has complicated proceedings with his tweet, saying he will now be reviewing the case. Matt Goldstein could face the death penalty from our own government, he wrote, saying he was getting involved in the case at the request of many. At the request of many, I will be reviewing the case of a U.S. military hero, Major Matt Goldstein, who is charged with murder. He could face the death penalty from our own government after he admitted to killing a terrorist bombmaker while overseas.